Boys and girls, we are getting so close to learning about all of our habitats. Now, before we talk about our habitat for today, let's go ahead and again review our continents. Earth has 7 continents. I can name them all. North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, Antarctica. Those are very important places in our world, and they all have special habitats. Now, so far we've talked about the ocean, which covers over half of the earth. We talked about prairies, which can be found a lot in the United States of America. And today we're going to talk about a habitat that is in America, in lands in the East, and in Australia. So let's go ahead and get out our habitat book. I hope you have this with you by now. And today we'll be learning about the desert. Now, Miss Juvenile loves the desert. I visited a very special desert in Arizona. Arizona is a very hot state all of the time almost. And I visited several different parks in Arizona and hiked. Now, can you notice something about the rocks in this picture? Do you see what color they are? They are red, orange, and brown. That's because a lot of rocks in different deserts are made up of clay. Clay can be red. It can be very, very bright. Now, let's talk about our deserts and who lives here. First of all, I see a lot of sand and clay on the ground, don't you? It's kind of dirty and dry. Now, what is my favorite plant in this picture? It's a cactus. Miss Juvenile loves cactuses. I think they're so much fun to grow, and that's probably because they don't need a lot of water. We're going to talk about that and the animals in this picture. I see a snake and a salamander. So let's go ahead and hang this back up. There's also an owl there. Do you see the desert owl? We're going to hang this back up. We're going to get our question sheet out. Remember, get your question sheet so you can be answering it while I talk to you about the desert, okay? This is what you need to know about a desert. So, deserts don't get much rain, and they are very dry. Now, just because they're dry doesn't mean they're always hot. Some deserts can be very hot during the day, but at night get super, super cold. But even though deserts have very high and low extremes of temperature, meaning they get very hot or very cold, there are still a lot of things that live in the desert. Now, some of the things that live in the deserts are animals and plants that don't need a lot of water. They don't need a lot of water because they can conserve energy. That means that when they do get water or food, they hold on to it. They don't get rid of it right away. They can keep their body temperature just right. Now, some of the animals that live in this hot weather or dry weather are foxes, big spiders, camels, antelopes. There are some elephants who live in deserts. And there are also tons of different plants. So cactuses. Have you ever seen an aloe vera plant? Those are also from the desert. And all of these plants, they get their food from the sun. So let's talk about the food. Plants get their food from the sun, and they don't need a lot of water because they can keep it inside of them. And then insects and mice eat the plants. And then bigger animals like coyotes and rattlesnakes, they eat the insects and the mice. So let's go ahead and get our question sheet and make sure that we have written down everything we need to. First question, what is the weather like here? Push pause and answer that question. All right, did you answer what the weather is like in the desert? I hope that you got that right. And maybe you even wrote down something that I didn't know about the desert. Question number 2. Who lives here? I want you to push pause and try to be creative. Think about who lives in the desert. All right, did you get number 2 done? Let's go to number 3. What do they eat? Write down what the creatures in the desert eat. When you are done with that, you can put your habitat sheet away for today, and tomorrow we will do the very last habitat we are going to talk about. Have fun.